Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the stories. I'm Charles Anyekolu. Now, you might have heard that the head of Boko Haram, Abubakar Shekau, has reportedly been killed or seriously injured during a battle with another extremist group in northeastern Nigeria. His death has been reported a number of times before, only for him to resurface later. Nigeria's military say they are investigating the claims to confirm if it's true. His reported death comes after clashes with the rival jihadist group Islamic State in West Africa Province, or ISWAP, which is allied to Islamic State or ISIS. Under his watch, tens of thousands of people have died and millions have been displaced. Abubakar Shekau, that is. Well, let's hear more now from West Africa's top security and defense analyst, Dr. Kabiru Adamu, who's also CEO of Beacon Consulting, a security firm that specializes in the West Africa region. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Charles.
So, a murky picture about the reported death or wounding of Abubakar Shekau. What do you think we can say with certainty? Should we take the claims about his death with a pinch of salt?
Yes, and for one simple reason. The group that has been attributed to have killed him is yet to, claim that victory. Exactly. And given the fact that for the past 4 years, we know that there has been a rivalry, and a bitter one at that. They have often fought, among each other, killed each other. And then this is imagined, and we know that in the past they've been very quick to post successes like that. In this instance, this happened on the 18th, and we're on the 20th.
But what if they don't know about it?
Well, the fact that, according to the reports, they sent one of their commanders to carry out that job, as it were, responsibility, and in addition, trained 300, followers, as it were, who they sent to Libya, according to the reports, and they came back and reinforced the camp of that particular commander. Right. And it was with that that they now went into Sambisa.
So your job, should you choose to accept it, is it to eliminate Abubakar Shekau?
Exactly. Now, the fact that they are yet to make any publication, and they're very good with that. They've got social media platforms, they've got these online magazines, 2 online magazines that they publish almost frequently, and none of those have featured any of the incident. They've not featured the fact that they're sending a commander into Sambisa forest with the responsibility to eliminate Shekau. None of that has been published. So that makes me a bit skeptical. However, all other sources have confirmed the death of Shekau, including, accordingly, an account by one of his bodyguards saying that he saw himself detonating himself, that's Shekau,
right, and
that he's dead. Several other accounts have corroborated that. So as far as we're concerned, if I'm going to give a percentage, I would say 90% of the information out there suggests that Shekau is dead.
And of course, if he detonated a bomb attached to himself, the chances of finding him in a sort of together piece is very difficult, isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, he would have blown himself to pieces, and you would then have to depend on forensic analysis and all that sort of thing to determine if in fact he's the one whose finger is lying over there, sort of thing.
Exactly. And then the interesting thing is that
and maybe he did that on purpose.
Yeah, and the idea is to kill the commander that led the attack, because they were in a very close conversation, and so the reports went that he killed himself and killed that commander as well. Now, only that type of forensic, I would say, investigation would be able to confirm or verify, if at all, whatever remnants there are, is that of Shekau or not. Unfortunately, due to the difficulty of accessibility of the location where this incident happened, the fact that we are not aware, and I say this with all sense of responsibility, that the Nigerian security agencies do have an informant within the two factions, as it were, then it's very difficult to have that type of independent verification of the developments.
Well, that would make sense. Now, European experts on extremist groups in West Africa have suggested that it does look like a large number of ISWAP fighters have come into Sambisa forest, and that in itself appears to be quite significant, irrespective of what has happened to Shekau, because it's been suggested that it's the first time since the split in 2016 that the Islamic State faction has attacked the Shekau faction in a significant way. What's your assessment of that?
Everything points to what the information that is available to me at the moment. In the past, we've maintained a database of the locations, as it were, where the 2 or 3 groups have some form of dominance. And so we know that the Islamic State in West Africa province is dominant in the Lake Chad Basin area, on the islands on the Lake Chad. Then we also know that the Jamaat al-Ahl Sunnah al-Dawat wal-Jihad, which is the group that is led by Shekau, has its base, as it were, in Sambisa forest and in the border area between Cameroon and Nigeria, in a mountainous area there. Now, over time, we've seen a gradual expansion of the ISWAP faction from the Lake Chad Basin into central Borno and to an extent southern Borno. So now this is both in terms of its influence as well as in terms of the followership. So a lot of the supporters of Jamaat al-Ahl Sunnah al-Dawat wal-Jihad were decamping and going back to ISWAP. So from a troop strength of around 5,000, the last time I checked it was around 6,500. A lot of them were former members of the Jamaat al-Ahl Sunnah al-Dawat wal-Jihad. So that type of encroachment means that there will be a natural sort of conflict between the two sides. And of course they will be fighting each other. Now, never since I've been monitoring this have I seen the type of movement that I monitored in the last few days, getting to about a week into Sambisa forest. So definitely suggesting that either ISWAP has taken over Sambisa forest, or at least it has a strong base within Sambisa forest. So definitely corroborating what the European sources are indicating.
And very briefly, why you don't call them Boko Haram, do you? Why is that?
Because that's not their name. It's a name that I think...
It's a nickname, isn't
it? That has been popularized, right. And they have rejected it, actually. In several publications, they said that they are not Boko Haram. Yes, they are against Western education, which is the meaning of...
Yeah, but none of us can say what you're saying. I mean, so it's got to be simplified in some way.
Some have simplified it by just using the acronyms JS. I would rather go with that.
Okay.
And it's for the principle of neutrality. I think it's absolutely important, especially in public discourses like this.
And given that ISWAP have up till now concentrated on defending their territory, as you said, around the Lake Chad sort of region against raiders, I understand that quite a few raiders used to come over from the Shekau group who are said to have been trying to plunder civilians living under the protection of ISWAP, and now ISWAP seems to be on the offensive. How significant is that?
Very significant, especially if it's confirmed that Shekau is dead and that ISWAP has taken over Sambisa forest. First, it would mean ISWAP as a group is increasing in terms of its strategic outlook. It's more or less getting a strong hold on the Lake Chad Basin, as it were, and crystallizing, if I use that word, into a stronger force than Jamaat al-Ahl Sunnah al-Dawat wal-Jihad. Now, if we also put into consideration the fact that ISWAP as a group has been more strategic, it appears to be more, guided in its approach than Jamaat al-Ahl Sunnah al-Dawat wal-Jihad. First off, when it goes to communities, it doesn't kill indiscriminately. It preaches to communities. So the likelihood of converting more followers into its group using that method is much more higher than the Jamaat al-Ahl Sunnah al-Dawat wal-Jihad method. And in the long run, it could mean a consolidation of its stronghold within that region. And remember, its primary objective is to establish a Sharia stronghold. Now that would mean the establishment of a state within the Lake Chad Basin. And if that happens, that means we're going to see, like what happened in Afghanistan, the Taliban establishing an Islamic state within the region. And from there, if you now put into consideration the fact that the IS as a global body has made the strategic decision to turn the Sahel into perhaps a new headquarters after the fall of IS in Syria and Iraq. So it means in the long run we could have the Lake Chad Basin have been the headquarters, as it were, of IS, or even if not, the largest or highest growing faction of IS in the world.
That's a scary thought. Let me ask you this then, because there are also reports that there have been recurring factional problems within ISWAP itself, and that Islamic State Central, if you like, has been trying to restructure and consolidate the organization, which might tie into what you're saying about a new commander and all that sort of thing. There are, you know, can you confirm any of that?
Exactly. So if we go back to 2014, when Shekau pledged allegiance, 2014 or 2016, to IS, since then, up till now, I have monitored a change of leadership of about four times already, with the most recent one being after the purported death of Shekau. So clearly there is some form of leadership dispute within the group. That may be tied to their ideological disposition. The four tenets upon which they base their interpretation of the doctrine of jihad that they are pursuing at the moment does not hold very tightly with Islamic scholars. They base this understanding on the teachings of 2 or 3 scholars. And whenever they meet good scholars, clerics, you know, they easily sort of show that the interpretation is cannot be held strongly. So I'm not surprised with this type of you know, ideological differences. Imagine that is leading to changes in leadership. The second possibility is their strategic objective. Let's remember that when they began, the idea was to hold territory. Now over time, we've seen that they've dropped that idea as the primary objective. It doesn't seem to me that they're interested in holding territory, at least for now. Now, if that has changed, it means they're not necessarily interested in leaders that can administer territories. They are more interested in leaders that can probably galvanize followers and to the strategic objective that they have. So a lot of this, I think, is playing into all of this leadership dispute that we're seeing.
Very interesting. We've got about a minute to end the chat. I mean, if the death of Abubakar Shekau is confirmed, what would that change in northeastern Nigeria?
Number one, it would mean the longest serving jihadist leader globally is no more. And so one of two things: his group may cease to exist, or, which is what I would probably go with, we would see other commanders you know, sort of carving out their own little groups and each trying to claim leadership.
But that would mean less problems for Nigeria.
Not at all, not at all. It would mean probably more war fronts opening up. If the groups decide, okay, the Lake Chad Basin is too hot for us, let's move downwards into, you know, maybe northwest Nigeria or north central Nigeria, where there are similar forests like Sambisa Forest, and then set up camps there. Very easy for them to do. Then we could have new battlefronts opening up. Number two, we've discussed that briefly. ISWAP is growing in strength, and so we could see a bigger sort of united jihadist group in the region if Shekau is no more. Number three, it could also significantly, and this is what I think we're seeing, pointing out the fact that the Nigerian military as a unit has been unable to address this particular security challenge. If it's taking just 300 followers coming from Libya to join forces with one commander to take out Shekau, clearly showing that whatever strategy the Nigerian military is pursuing has not been very effective. It's just a small camp can eliminate Shekau, as it were.
Dr. Kabiru Adamu, thank you very much indeed. And he is, of course, a security and defense analyst and CEO of Beacon Consulting. Thank you.
Thank you.